of the lesson, we are on section 5.5. We are on the back side of SGI 5.5. Okay, so we're still in your study guide workbook. Go to the back side and you should see another theorem here. It's called the SSS inequality theorem. And this is not really that much of a difference from what we learned on the front side. This is just like the hinge theorem, except for one little difference. Okay? I'm going to scroll over so we can look at this picture together. This is what the SSS inequality theorem says. If you have two sides of two different triangles that are congruent to each other, I pointed to the wrong ones there. Okay? So let's look at this. 23, let's try this again. 23 in this picture is congruent to 23 over here. Okay, and then this side 38 is congruent to this corresponding side 38 over here. If you have two sides in one triangle that are congruent to the two corresponding sides in another triangle, then we can say something about this angle that is in between those two congruent sides compared to this angle that's in between those two congruent sides. Okay, and now how are we going to know the relationship between this angle M and this angle R? We are going to look at how long the side opposite that angle is. We're going to consider what's the length of those opposite sides. Okay, because remember, if we shorten up that third side, then what happens to this angle in the middle? It gets smaller. If we lengthen this third side, what happens to the angle in the middle? It gets bigger. Okay, so that's what we're thinking about here. If it asks you to compare angle M and angle R, let's look and let's see if we can say something about which one is greater, which one is less than. Okay, so here we are, and let's do this. Angle M corresponds with the opposite side 36. Angle R corresponds with its opposite side 33. So what are we going to say about this angle compared to this angle? Angle M has to be greater than angle R because 36, its opposite side, is greater than 33, R's opposite side. Okay, so just look at the side across from it. Whichever one's longer is going to make that corresponding angle be the biggest one. Okay, let's try one of these on this back side. Same steps here, same thing that you're looking at, only you are going to compare angles on this one instead of comparing the sides. Okay. On number 1, this is under your examples, under your exercises down there. When you're given two triangles together, first things first, just like on the front side of this, take your pencil and let's highlight those congruency marks, okay, so we can really see one side there. There's always got to be a second side that's congruent in both triangles. And look at this. Top triangle, bottom triangle share this piece in the middle. So PR is going to be the same length in the top triangle as it is in the bottom because it's exactly the same segment. Okay, so there's your side. There's your two sides. Now, we are going to look at the opposite sides and their corresponding angles in the middle here. Okay? Now, if you will notice, what angles are we going to focus on? Which angles are we going to see? Which one is greater and which one is less? We need to focus on angle M, PR. We need to focus on angle N, PR. Okay? So locate those angles. M, PR. Highlight that. What angle are we focusing on? It's going to be right there in that top half. Okay? And then what angle is NPR? Find it. N to P to R. What angle did you just trace? That's going to be this bottom one. They're always going to ask you about these angles opposite of these third sides that they give you. Okay? So, if this top angle here, NPR, corresponds with 13, and this bottom angle, its opposite side, is 10, so what can we say about these angles? Compare your numbers. 13, that side is longer than 10. Therefore, the angle across from 13 has to be larger, greater than that angle that's across from 10. Okay, there we go. Let me remind you on one more thing here. You're going to see the same situation that we saw on the front side. Let's look at number 3 together. And this is exactly the same problem, only you got a bunch of numbers in here. Okay? Really be sure that you take the sides and you mark congruency marks on your sides. So let's take a look here. Do you see two numbers that are the same? One number in the left triangle that's the same as one number in the right triangle. My eye catches 30 first. So I'm going to mark this side and this side that both have 30 on them. I'm going to mark them congruent. And do this for yourself. After you get them marked congruent, you don't need that 30 anymore. The only reason they gave you 30 and 30 is so you can see those congruent sides. Okay, let's do the same thing with the other congruent sides. What are your other ones? 24. 24. You see that same number. Let's mark this 24 side congruent to this side whose measure is 24. And I'm just going to erase this and erase this because I'm done with it now. Mark in the congruent pieces and you're done. What are we comparing here? We've got 48 on there, we've got 50 on there, and look at the angles that they want you to talk about. We want to compare angle C with the measure of angle Z. Okay, so let's look at it. Angle C is right here. Angle Z is right here. Which side is your bigger side? 50 is bigger than 48. That's going to be your biggest angle right here at Z. But be careful. Think of it like this. Angle C is what compared to angle Z? Angle C is the shorter one. Compared to angle Z, your longer one. So what symbol are we going to use for our final answer right here? Angle C has to be less than angle Z because its opposite side, 48, is less than Z's opposite side, which is 50. Okay, so here's your answer.